and teacher. What a slacker. Whose work has helped generations of clinicians see medicine more honestly, more humanely, and with greater courage. To present the PC4AA Samuel Shem Award for Radical Honesty and Moral Courage in Medicine, please welcome Dr. Michael Rocha, a cardiologist at Hawthorne Medical Associates in Norton, Massachusetts.
So, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My ride was about 2.5 hours to get here today from down in Dartmouth. I grew up in New Bedford, and that's where I will always call home. It is beyond a privilege and an honor and a humbling experience to be able to acknowledge my friend Samuel Shem. Beyond being a novelist, a playwright, a Rhodes Scholar, professor of humanities at NYU. His Healing Quartet, 4 books, chronicled the American medical experience from 1973 to 2023. Those books include The House of God. How many out there have read The House of God? Many of you can still recite all of the laws of the House of God. So in a cardiac arrest, the first thing you do is
Take your own laws.
And the delivery of good medical care is to do as much of nothing as possible, to let that patient heal and support them through that. His book, Mount Misery, chronicled what it was like to be a psychiatry resident in the 1980s. And more recently, the 2 novels that he's written over the last several years include Man's Fourth Best Hospital, which has another whole set of laws. And what he did in that book was talk about we are at a tipping point. That tipping point is we can go one way or other. We can either go to humanity or go towards the screens and money. His message is always to put the human back in healthcare, and that we do it together. And those are 2 of the laws to Man's Fourth Best Hospital. And he also wrote quite extensively on the rackets that we are all experiencing, the electronic medical records, the insurance companies, the hedge-funded medical care, and a lot of the health systems, many of which are for-profit. In his most recent book, Our Hospital, and if you have not read that, I would make sure that you do so because the message is of hope. He specifically wrote it during COVID so it would chronicle what was actually happening at that time, and was able to do it with such clarity despite not being in the hospital at that time, but through many conversations with specialists, including Mike and I, over the period of time, had the opportunity to participate and learn from him. And really, he was able to put into words what it was like to be a nurse, to be a doctor, to be in COVID, to be entwined in a for-profit healthcare system. And as many of us know, fiction is oftentimes based on nonfiction. So many of the stories are reality of what we're all experiencing. He was so clever that instead of thinking about different things like going on strike to try to change healthcare, it's how we can come together instead, walking in instead of walking out. And through that book, he was able to explain that taking care of sick and suffering people, to quote from that book, was once again a healing art. But I'm also going to take a moment that those, despite being what many of us are probably familiar with. His most important, in my mind, and most compelling book is one that many of you probably have never heard about. It's The Spirit of the Place. In that book, he talks about what it is to be a primary care doctor, to come home and to take care of your community. The older doctor, Bill Starbucks, in the book, was revered as being there for everybody in the community from day one. And he was the guru for Orville, who came back forcibly because his mother had passed. And he was forced to stay in his community for a year, and through that experience realized what it was about and how important it was to be home and take care of the people. Bill showed him that connection and that healing has less to do with the treatment and diagnosis and more to do with our human connections. And that story is repeated over and over again as a common thread through so many of these books and so many of the messages. And in that book, he also talks about how important it is to be present in the crucial moments, in the ordinary moments. And it is an absolutely beautiful book. And for those of you out there that are perhaps the next generation and looking towards an inspiration to doing primary care or going back to your community and being connected, I would challenge you all to read that book. I'd like to finish with 3 quotes that come from the house of God. I think this is our challenge to all of us at this time. I'm telling you this now because I'm thinking of us being doctors, good doctors, carrying it on for me. Learning from old Bill Starbuck, and he learning from the gunslinging 19th century doctor hanging on the office wall. And then, you, referring to the next generation, the daughter of Orville's sister, Amy, at 14, asking if you could hang around with me on rounds in the office, learning from me. I from you. Good connections are always mutual, and now you showing the young docs. And Barry responded, for 2 years after the house came out, referring to the house of God, you refused all appearances. You were purist. Then you get a letter. Something like, I'm alone on call at night at a veterans hospital in Tulsa. And if it weren't for your book, I'd kill myself. Oh yeah. That's when you started getting out to audiences and talking about putting the human back in medicine. And lastly, now we turn our sight to you, the next generations. This isn't our fight anymore, at least not the one on the front line. But it breaks our heart to see you this way. It's your fight, and we have your backs. We have faith in you. Stick together. Lean on us. Count on us. Call on us. And we'll be there with you. Shem taught us that it's about what we do to bring together and to have hope. We have great challenges. In medicine these days, nobody knows where AI is going to take us or how it will replace our humanity. We're constantly fighting against the electronic medical record every single day. I look at the younger medical students and the younger doctors, and I actually have the ability and the opportunity to have grown up and been inspired like people like Mike Fine, or my friend Bernie Lown, or who we're celebrating today for his immense contribution that can't be underestimated. He's the John Steinbeck of medical literature. If we all continue to learn those messages, even though 1973 was a long time ago, and some of the social constructs probably couldn't be written again today, but the reality is it's snapshots, whether it's in 1973 or during COVID, These books and this message will live on forever, not just in our hearts, but also as each and every one of us take care of our own community, our own people, never forget we stick together.